My dad saw the first European come. He was a little boy. My grandfather opened his arms up, come into my home, showed him how to hunt, showed him how to fish, showed him how to survive through the hard winters they had. Pretty soon more and more Europeans come. Pretty soon they banned our lawn houses. Anybody that practiced their spiritual dancing, they were jailed for it. But that wasn't good enough. They brought in the residential school. I was put in there in 1930. Only language I knew was my native tongue. When I spoke that, I got punished. And I was punished a lot. There's a lot of nights I went to bed without a meal, hungry. There's a lot of times I stood in a corner on my knees, saying my prayers, and they had to hear me saying it, or else I get punished some more. My parents were threatened if I didn't go to that school. They were going to be put in jail. The Indian agent and the police were there. So I had to go.
Everything that we learned, everything that we heard about our community and about our people was negative. The only way we were going to succeed was to become like them, to acquire their values, to accept their spiritual beliefs, their spirituality, to speak their language. And that's what the residential schools were all about. They were designed to assimilate our people into the mainstream. And they understood that the best way of doing that was to remove us from the influence of the family. That's why they put us away for 10 months of the year. That's why they denied us our language, our culture, our spirituality. And it was at a terrific cost to our people. And we are still paying the price today. We are paying the price today, and we will continue to pay for some time to come. Unless, and I say unless, our leaders decide that healing is so critical to the future of our people. And that healing means coming face to face with the whole residential school experience.
we had a soccer team, and we're kind of chosen. I don't know how they chose us, but there's 16 of us. There's only 4 of us left to this very day. The other 12, some were in car accidents, some slashed their wrists, some quite a few of them had drug overdoses. Every one of them died a violent death, and every one of them was sexually abused by their brothers in the residential schools. And that always bothered me. There's 4 of us left. What happened to me? Was I different? Was I wrong? Or, why am I still here? The minute you step your foot into residential school, you're given a number. And I forget what the heck mine was, 64 or something like that. But anyway, you're assigned a number, everything's numbered. Your shirt, your underwear, your pants, everything, your jacket, everything has your number on there. And we used to go down to the playgrounds. We'd play, especially on weekends. And when you played, you never really played, enjoyed yourself as much as you tried to enjoy kicking the soccer ball around or play on the swings or pitch horseshoes. You never enjoyed the game until you heard the whistle. Up on the 4th floor, the brother would come out and he'd blow the whistle. And all he'd do was shout out number 34, 10, any number you wanted, any number he wanted. And you knew darn well that boy had to go up, and he spent the rest of the afternoon with the brother up in his room to entertain the brother. And you know what's happening to that person in that room. And after a person was chosen, then we could play at ease because you knew you weren't going to be next. Your number then come up. It's a very lonely life to live and experience those memories of the past. It's a bad dream. It doesn't go away. It'd be nice to see a lot of our people sleep comfortably. I know a lot of people are just as goddamn miserable as I am after 10 beer. The stories I hear, and some of my friends laugh at them, make fun of them because they're perverts. They're in the residential schools, perverts in the past. They weren't perverts. They're abused. And a lot of my friends are crying out for help, and yet nobody hears them. And yet the hardest part is we all seem to cry out for help, but when the help is there knocking on the doorstep, we don't respond. We don't go answer the door. We just want to keep it inside us again. Why? We don't know how to talk about it, I guess.
I think in preparing myself to come here, I was asking my grandmother to come here with me today and to give me strength inside from all of our families and all of the people that were part of our family that had any kind of strength to come in and help me face this place. Inside of myself, I knew that when I came here, that all of my memories were connected to this child that lived here so long ago. But actually coming back here, I sort of knew that I would see things that would stir other feelings. And I prayed so that I would be strong enough to face all these new feelings. I remember first coming here because back then I remember thinking I was going home at the end of the day. Because to me, school meant they would go get on a bus and they would go off and then they would come back. So when my brother and I were coming here, I thought I was going home at the end of the day. And when we came up through this way and we met all these people, all these priests and nuns, and got my number and went over to the boys' side, and all these boys were there. Got into my first fight. It was like I had enough of this now. So when I finally found my brother, we were separated because of our age. And I think they separated all brothers so that you didn't associate with family. When I finally caught up with him, I said, well, I had enough of this, let's go home now. And he said, you can't go home, we're here forever. Sometimes your brother or the priest would come in, and you kind of hear their beads, and they would come in and you're laying there, and then you'd hear them whisper, hush now. And then they would pack somebody out. I couldn't understand why they chose who they chose. But it was god-awful painful because they were there for a few days and they couldn't walk. And they weren't allowed to talk to anybody. We were so isolated here, not just from home, but from each other. I couldn't talk to my brother. I couldn't talk to my cousins once I found out which families they were from. And I couldn't talk to even my friends about what happened to me. Because there was so much shame that I was evil. That's why this happened to me. And you look at the other boys, they're so happy. Nothing's happening to them. So you're the evil one. So it was that shame that kept that silence for me for so long. I just always thought I liked basketball, And when I was in there, I could really hear the to-bamp, 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 and having to use my right hand and dribble along that line. I had to dribble it straight before I could go and eat. And I got into the gym, and then I could remember when I was 6, and the ball was so big. And it was difficult to keep it under control, and there was all kinds of pain inside. In all my preparation in coming here today, I'd never expected to feel that. That 6-year-old child had no reason to be there. Didn't deserve that. No child at that age deserved to be pushed around like that. And I hated it. There was lots of anger and lots of hate, but most of all, it was just like lots of sorrow because I was no longer a kid.
so terrified of that boat ride. They tried to get me inside. It was raining. I would not go. I would not go. Finally, we got to Kuper Island, and I looked up and I thought, wow. I was going there to look after my brothers. Because I always looked after them. I always looked after the younger ones. When one of the girls wet their beds, one of the little girls wet their beds, they would be dragged all the way down the stairs, down to the shower room, turn the cold water on, and everybody had to have a look. So when my little sister got there, I used to make sure that I used to make sure that somebody used to wake me up, and I'd go up and sneak up there and change her sheets. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. One night I forgot about it. Next morning she was being dragged.
The biggest experience and hardship for me is learning that the people we had come to trust were not all that trustful. We believed them to be holy people who would be there for us, that prayed for us and would always care for us, nurture us while we're at the residential school. And all along, I guess probably one of the hardest things was being sexually abused by one of the brothers, and I guess hiding it for most of my life until I turned 36. That was almost 9 years ago. So by the time I was 16, when I left, until I was 36, the whole abuse stayed deep within my heart, my soul. I would not allow it to come out. And I would not talk to anybody about that part of my life. I really feel that they were hypocrites of the worst kind for the things that they'd done to Aboriginal people who were forced to go to the residential school, who had no choice, and who really didn't know how to respond to all their advances and all their actions they carried out. I felt so helpless. I was a little guy, and I thought, well, maybe this is what religious people do.
When I got beaten up in residential school, I was told not to say anything about it. I was taught not to cry, and I learned that very well. Being thrashed on the hands, on the arms, on the back. And now, to this day, I can take any kind of beating and feel nothing. I can take any kind of mental or emotional abuse and feel nothing. I had no way of communication in my teenage years. I had nothing. I was working, yes, but working for alcohol, that's all I was doing. So I can drink and forget about what happened to me as a child. And my drinking got so bad that I took a life because I was hurting. So I wanted someone else to hurt worse than I am. And that life I took is my daughter's.
Well, we can tell you, Arthur, that the latest news of this discovery, it's being shared in an online newsletter circulating among the Cowichan communities in southern British Columbia. The discovery, they say, of more than 160 unmarked graves near a former residential school site.
Kuper Island Residential School. Known as Canada's Alcatraz, Indigenous children were trapped there, forced to endure horrific physical and sexual abuse. 121 children died at the school on Penelakut Island. Charlie was 15 when he first arrived at Kuper. The abuse at the hands of a priest started soon after.
He would come in there and sex abuse me, and I was sleeping when he first done it. I was sleeping and he woke me up middle of the night and I was just shocked.
Glenn Dowdy was eventually charged with sexually abusing more than a dozen boys and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Eddie Charlie was also abused during his time at Kuper. The memories, decades later, still haunting.
I got raped so many times, and every time I look up and when I'm laying down in bed, I see that priest's face smiling down at me, and I feel angry.
Charlie says the abuse got so bad, one day he saw other kids pushing a log down a hill and saw a way out.
I threw myself in front of the log, and it rolled over me and broke almost every bone in my body. And you can see the scars on my head and on my face.
Others didn't make it. 2 sisters drowned trying to swim away from the island. Another student died from suicide. Tony Charlie has put his story on paper with plans to publish it this fall.
I will continue to share my story so people will understand us.
Understanding. That's all so many survivors like Tony and Eddie Charlie are asking for, so they can begin their own long journey toward healing.
These are relatives, these are cousins of many of us from that island, from Penelakut, and it's really hard. It's hard on us. It's hard on the survivors. It's hard on the families, and particularly our Cowicahn, our elders.
I didn't go to school because my dad had a a bad thing that happened then when he went to school. They fed him with contaminated food, and part of his neck just dropped out. Just dropped out right from along here. And there was scars in 2 places there, one in his back. They thought he was going to die, so they sent him home. And but my grand-uncle knew all kinds of medicine, Indian medicine. They started giving it to him, and he survived. So when I was a school age, he hid me from everybody. I didn't come to town too often. I stayed home. I was wondering why he did that. And after I met my cousins from Shell Beach there, and I read and everything, and I asked, how did they learn how to read? And he told me they went to school. And I asked him, how come you didn't send me to school? Then he explained what happened to him. He almost died. And he didn't want me to go through the same thing. He was scared for me to go to school. I was the only son he had, so he really cared a lot for me.
went to residential in 1950, but I thought I went there 2 years, but I looked at my paper and they said I went in 1948-49, besides 1950 52. I don't remember being there 1948-49, but I remember being there in 1950 and 51, 52 after my mom died. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I just started remembering everything after she died.
When did she die?
1950.
And you were then how old?
8.
At that time? 8. So you went to residential school?
Yeah, yes.
Do you remember how life was before you went to residential school?
It was just being on the reserve all the time. Seeing my mom around. Though I don't remember her ever talking to me or hugging me. But I remember being happy there or feeling safe on the reserve before she died. Everything changed when she died, and they put me in residential. And I didn't know she was dead. They didn't tell me she was dead when they showed me, called us out of the bedroom to tell us to look at her in the coffin. I didn't know it was a coffin, and I didn't know she was dead. They didn't tell me where they took her.
When you were at the residential school, they took you out to show you her?
No, in March of that year, 1950, when she died. In September, I went to Kuper Island Residential. But all my young years, I didn't know where she was. I didn't know she was dead.
Did you have brothers or sisters with you?
6 of my older siblings were in residential in Kuper Island. I didn't know that they were. I didn't know I had brothers and sisters because they were there all the time, I guess. Because my older sister, one remaining older sister that lives in Duncan, said she went there 9 years. She was 16 when my mom died. And there was 4 of us younger ones at home. 2 younger brothers and a sister. And they sent my younger sister and I there, but when I look back this last year, I don't remember seeing my younger sister there. I think they must have sent her home after, because I don't remember seeing her in the school, though we got on the train together and went across on that little ferry to Kuper Island from Chemainus. I don't remember seeing her there. An older sister that's deceased now, she went with us that first year. I don't remember seeing her there either.
What was it like for you when you got there?
right from the beginning, I was scared walking down that dock in Chemainus to get on that boat. And I didn't know where they were bringing me. A priest or a man picked us up, walked us down there from the train, going on that ferry on the water. First time I've been on a boat. And walking up that dock to the school, I didn't know why I was there.
Did anybody explain that to you?
No.
Was there anybody?
I didn't see my dad before I left either. I don't know if he was around when I left I don't remember leaving my house. I just remember being at the train station and getting on that train in Nanaimo, but I don't remember leaving my home in Nenny's.
And after you arrived at the residential school, can you describe what that was like for you?
I didn't know. I didn't know why I was there. I didn't know nothing.
It must have been very different from your home.
Yeah, it was. And I was scared. I was always scared.
Do you remember being scared the whole time you were there?
Yeah, I was always scared. Because I didn't know nobody.
Do you remember sort of a typical day at school, things that you might have done?
I was always scared, but I kept it inside and just try to stay real quiet. I'm scared of the nuns and scared of the priests. And I never seen no white people on our reserve. First time I see the people there, and they're all dressed in black.
I guess they didn't make you feel very safe if you were scared of them.
And just being around everybody I didn't know. And they told us we weren't supposed to look around when they lined us up in a rectory, they called it. The other girls weren't allowed to look around. We weren't allowed to talk. Or you'd get strapped or get your ears pulled or your hair pulled. So I couldn't look for my sisters. I felt alone all my life.
If you weren't allowed to look around or talk to people, was it hard to have friendships? Did you have any friends when you were there?
Because we always seemed to have to be doing something. We always had to be working or... We always had to be... Free time, we had to be knitting darning socks, the boys' socks, after school. When we were in school, that's all we had to... They taught us was about God and devils. And I don't remember doing no math and all that. It was always about God and devils.
Do you remember if you received any kind of education? You said you didn't remember math. Did they teach you reading?
Nope.
Writing?
When I finally got out of there and they sent me to public school and I didn't know nothing and I felt so stupid. And I was older than everybody. The grade they put me in, I don't know what grade they put me in, but I didn't know hardly nothing what they were teaching in the public school, because that's all we did was write about God all the time and do tests on that.
Did you finish public school or were you able to
No,
go through?
I didn't. I just passed into grade 8 when I left, went to Duncan.
How old were you when you left the residential school?
I think I might have been 10. I don't remember my age. I didn't know I had a birthday until I was 13.
Do you know if your mother was in residential school?
Yes, my older sister said she went, and so did my dad. They both went to residential.
Do you know where they went?
My late dad went to Port Alberni. My late mom went to Coquelette, or wherever that is.
And that wasn't something that the family talked about?
No. My older sister hardly talked about it, but she said it wasn't nice. She said she had to work and be a cook, and she said she had to cook a lot of rotten meat and on that spoiled meat for the kids. And my other brothers, I had 6 brothers. I have 2 left. My one brother, that's all he told me was before he died, that he had a medical problem that could never be fixed because they kicked him so hard and he's wrecked him that he couldn't sit too long. What little bit he revealed to me when he visited me. And the doctors couldn't fix it. He didn't go right away. So they were abused. He was abused.
When did you finally talk to your brothers about that?
My late brother died about 2 years ago, so probably about 4. And he was in his 70s. Died of cancer.
And your sister?
About 2 years ago or something, she was telling me about the food that she had to cook for the kids, about how spoiled the meat was. And it was just real bad food that she had to cook for us, for our kids. She said she was there 9 years. And she said that they hit her so hard in her ears that if she's deaf or no. She's an angry lady. She won't talk about it. She won't cry.
So you had never shared that after you left the residential school? You had no friends or family or anybody you had ever shared your experiences with?
No, I haven't.
Do you know what a brave woman you are to be able to do that 6 years ago?
I don't know about this bravery and courage. What do people tell me I have? Since I've been going to treatment in Sakwalutin, since it opened, they tell me then. Yes, I have it. I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Did you ever feel the anger that your sister has?
Yes, I did start feeling it when I got married when I was only 15 and a half over in Duncan to my kid's father. And I started having all these kids. I had them year after year. I started feeling anger. Having so much work to do, looking after them, going through, because what a priest did to me over in Kuper, and my brother molested me after my mom died. I was sent to nuns' rooms. And I've gotten to where I remember being sent to 2 nuns' rooms. When I get to the door and it's dark, and I don't remember anything. I don't remember. I just opened the door and it's dark. And told Scott Hall's them lawyers. They said they don't believe my story. But they weren't there when I had to go to them nuns' rooms, and I know I opened the door, but it's just black. And I remember what that priest did to me.
You want to share that with us?
He used to take us little girls on Sundays he used to take us to some field. On Sunday, I guess, when we didn't have to be in school. Supposed to be an outing, I guess. And he grabbed me or pulled me, and he put me on his lap. He put his hand up, because we always wore skirts. And then he'd put his hands up my dress, skirt. And I had to stay on his lap. Until we got to that field.
I'm so sorry when you shared that before that people didn't believe you. Was there anybody at the school, any of the other children even, that you were able to talk about that with?
No.
So
I don't know why I was chosen to do that. I don't know if they had to do it too. Must have, if I had, they chose me. But I never told nobody.
You mentioned also the nuns used to also pull your ears or pull your hair.
I seen them do that to other girls. And when I'd go get in line, tell us to get in line, I'd go way to the back. So they wouldn't pick me out or anything. I was scared.
Did you feel that you had any way of protecting yourself?
No, just to be quiet and not to be seen. I tried to get behind the other girl, so. And one girl told the nun that I had lice in my head, and she cut all my hair. Then they put this white rag on my hair, and I had to go to school with that white thing on my head. And I felt everybody there was laughing at me. Girls were mean to me. I think they were all tell lies on other, just to get somebody in trouble. So I try to be always by myself.
Can you tell me some ways you think that the residential school might have affected your life as a mother?
A lot of ways. I never learned how to be friendly or have friends. They never taught no skills. Saturdays, they only allowed us to shower once a week there. And we had a shower in cold water because there was a whole bunch of us girls lined up to shower every Saturday. I guess it was. I always hate cold water. So I had a shower in cold water. And it was always cold there. Cold up in our dormitory. Cold, especially cold in the winter. It was always dark up there, and I was always deathly scared of pee in my bed. Because girls had to sleep on the floor if they peed their bed. And then I'd hear them crying because it's cold. Because there's a wooden floor. And they only gave us one old gray blanket. And it was always cold. I was always cold.
Did they provide you with clothes?
Just, yes, a uniform, skirt and blouse, long socks and black shoes.
Sweaters or jackets or anything?
You know, I don't remember any jackets. I don't know what we used when we went out.
Did you ever have to sleep on the floor?
No, I was scared. I wasn't made sure I went to the bathroom while they told us to. We had to brush our teeth and go to the bathroom before we went to bed. It's really, really early because they woke us up. It was still dark to go to Mass every morning, they called it.
Now, to help communities move forward, we know that there are a couple of events that are aimed at healing in the wake of this most recent news. What do we know about that?
Well, we can tell you that the Penelakut tribe, they'll be hosting 2 healing sessions in the coming weeks. No details yet, only that they are coming. But they're also inviting people to take part in what's been called a March for the Children. Now, this will be in the town of Chemainus on Vancouver Island. It will take place on August the 2nd. The Penelakut chief saying that it is very difficult to face the trauma, but each time the community does so, she says it opens up a path for more healing, and certainly in the wake of the news, that is what people are looking for.
Ooh. ourselves, our families, nations, the natural world, and to the Creator. The words say we are to awaken, stand up, be counted. For you are being recognized in the spirit world. Give a